Hey, what's up everyone, Ragey Golden Nico here, having way too much fun as always. And as you can tell by the title, the comic industry is about to have a massive shakeup that will probably send shockwaves out to just about every other industry. What I'm referring to is a direct result of Comicsgate being able to make it way further than Gamergate ever did in one key area. That being making their own pretty much complete industry from the ground up. And they can do this because making comics is considerably easier than making games. Not knocking hardworking comic pros, but it's just a fact that comics can be produced much cheaper, quicker, and with less people than video games. And I'm talking specifically about real games here, not Twine stories like Depression Quest. Anyway, because of the fact that even a single person can reliably crank out quality comics that put the big name industry to shame in a timely manner, something we can't really do in video games, Comicsgate has succeeded in starting their own parallel industry. And at first, the SJWs didn't believe it would be successful anyway. They actually believed that they and the media still had some sort of power, so at first they just ignored it. That is, until Jawbreakers made hundreds of thousands of dollars. Then they saw it as a threat and pulled out all the stops. When this whole thing got started, pretty much all of Comicsgate wanted to work within the existing industry as best as they can. But since what happened with Jawbreakers, we've seen them forced into making more and more of their own damn industry from top to bottom. And here's where the funny story comes in. Before Diversity in Comics actually crowdfunded Jawbreakers, all the pros were laughing at his past work and calling him a bitter old failed comic artist. And they mockingly told him to just make the types of comics he wants himself and get them on store shelves, and then they can talk. So he did. He funded Jawbreakers and fully intends to put the book on store shelves through the publisher Antarctic. And the SJWs were more than happy to let him compete with them in a free market, right? Oh, who are we kidding? Of course they weren't. You know how this works. They know damn well they wouldn't stand a chance in the free market, so they had to bully their better competition into submission. Not only did Mark Waid throw the weight of his employer around to get Antarctic to back out of their deal with Diversity in Comics, but many comic shops, large and small, themselves loudly announced all over social media that they would not be carrying the book. Some said they would special order it if customers asked, but others wouldn't even do that. That's right. The very comic shops that are going out of business by the dozens decided to get woke and take a stand against popular comics that might actually save their asses. So right there, you already have two key parts of the production and distribution chain completely closed down for Comicsgate. The publishing and distributing to customers. Those are kind of important if you want to actually get books to customers, aren't they? And this, I believe, was the wake-up call that Comicsgate needed. They wanted to help the stores and put their comics on shelves. They wanted to sign up with a small indie publisher to stick it to the big two and Image, but their competition knows they can't compete, so they sabotaged the whole deal. And with the deal sabotaged, the attitude of Comicsgate shifted. They started thinking, hey, we have huge platforms online already. So if the publishers want to stab us in the back the second some washed up old SJW applies pressure, then we don't need a publisher. We can do all this work on our own. And if the stores don't want us anyway, we can sell direct to consumer and even use it as an advertising pitch. AKA, we the creators keep 100% of the profits as opposed to a tiny fraction once everyone down the line has taken a cut. So if you want to support good comics and their creators, the best way to do it is buying directly from them. The more middlemen you cut out of the deal, the more money the guy at the end gets. It only makes sense. And from the looks of it, I don't think any of them plan on using Diamond either. Diamond hasn't picked a side in this fight yet, but just like with Antarctic, I think the Comicsgate creators have learned what would happen if they announced that is who they would be distributing through. And trust me, as more of these projects come out, I bet these guys may very well consolidate into a proper company/label to make it easier for anyone else who wants to join. Because right now, each individual person is pretty much doing the work a publisher would be doing on their own. And they're just talking with each other and giving each other hints. But again, it's only a matter of time until they form a proper company. So now what you got is an entire parallel industry springing up of comic creators doing everything on their own. Obviously, they create the comics as they always did, but after that, they have to go and get them printed and mailed out to buyers themselves. And they very smartly haven't been vocal about which printers they are using either. After all, you don't want to risk Mark Waid bullying a third company after his recent attacks on Alterna. And even then, if something were to happen and they lost their printers as well, I know for a fact there are some very good printers overseas that wouldn't refuse good money to take the job. And in that sense, this is just like with gaming. If the Western industry wants to stand in the way of what customers want, then we, the customers, have no problem going overseas to get what we want and cutting the Western industry out of the loop entirely and just letting them die. They don't have nearly as much power as they used to before the internet, when gatekeepers were allowed to still exist. But they still haven't come to terms with that yet. But either way, this right here is where the bullshit ring comes in. As Diversity in Comics mentions in the video that I've linked in the description, after they've suffered so many defeats one after another, now the SJWs think it's cute to try to shame Comicsgate for bypassing the stores. The same stores, by the way, they initially wanted to support, but the SJWs closed that path. Now all of a sudden they're coming out and saying shit like, "Oh, if you care about the store so much, why are all of your comics direct to consumer? And this right there is your typical dirty-ass tactic that we've seen used against us since even before Gamergate made it popular. A tactic that relies entirely on the audience being ignorant of the actual situation. Look at this from the perspective of an uninformed observer. This looks like a very good point. We see Comicsgaters constantly decrying all the comic shops going out of business or simply moving on to selling other stuff and ditching comics, and yet all of the comic books that they are creating are direct to consumer. They are bypassing the stores they claim to support entirely. What's up with that? These uninformed observers weren't there when the Comicsgate creators were working on getting their product into the stores, only to be shut down by the very same people who are now shaming them for not being in stores. And to be honest, Ethan Van Sciver at least seems to give off the impression that he does eventually want his book to be in stores, so we may see it sometime after the initial Indiegogo campaign customers have their copies shipped. But given what happened last time, I'm not surprised he's not getting into any specifics until it's probably going to be too late for any company to back out of the deal. So yeah, pretty much just like every other time anyone's been attacked by SJWs, as usual they rely entirely on lies and emotional manipulation to fight. But thankfully, every time they use these tactics, the population develop a little bit more of a tolerance for them. More people wake up to the bullshit every single time. So keep up the fight. Keep your actual facts on hand in case you are challenged. In case some virtue signaler asks how you can claim to care about stores while everyone you support skips the stores entirely, make sure you let them know why the stores are being skipped in the first place. They need to be told that the people who are playing them for fools caused this whole mess in the first place. And I've been through this situation enough to realize that sure, many of them will be reluctant to admit the truth because admitting the truth means admitting they were played for fools. And nobody wants to do that. But those who do actually wake up and realize the truth will make great future allies as they start their quest for vengeance. And on a final, slightly more depressing note, speaking of creating new parallel industries, we may be hitting get woke, go broke inception here. In just the past few days, we've seen a whole slew of companies publicly getting extremely woke. And not just those we expected from, like Riot Games. I'm referring to giants like Nike and Levi. So honestly, seeing all this going on, I'm starting to wonder now if their plan is to make it so we have no non-woke alternatives without creating our own. Hell, if you got, say, 4 companies competing in a field and one of them gets woke, you can just say, okay fine, we're gonna ditch you and go to the other guy. Well, what if all 3 of the other guys get woke too? What are you gonna do then? At that point, honestly, here's what I would do. I'd analyze if this is a need or a want. If it's a want, then yeah, just cut it out entirely and find something else to spend money on. If it's a need, however, and I can't live without it, like shoes, at that point, if you have to buy it anyway, I suggest either waiting for really steep sales or just buying everything secondhand. You don't have to completely stop buying their products to make them go broke. You could just simply cut your spending with them by 75%. Imagine if everybody did that, if the company just lost 75% of its revenue. They'd get the message. And as for creating our own alternatives, the thing is, every time we try that, they shut it down using the payment processors or domain registrars or some other company like that. It seems like it's quickly getting to the point where if we want to be free of this tyranny, we need to create the entire infrastructure from the ground up. Up to and including spawning a competitor to Visa and MasterCard, or hell, even further than that, we'd need our own damn bank. Since you bet your ass MasterCard and Visa will be pulling their weight around with whatever bank we want to use to get them to drop us. And the bank would of course listen to them since they're way bigger. And with the situation being like it is, we're pretty much pitted against the entire current infrastructure that was in no small part funded by taxpayers and is being maintained by taxpayers, and is also being protected by regulations that make it too expensive for new competitors to even spring up in the first place. So to say that this battle is damn near impossible is not really an understatement. We're living in interesting times, that's for sure. And at this rate, it's only a matter of time until quote-unquote alt-right Nazis, and by that I mean anyone to the right of Stalin, will be even denied basic services. And since we've pretty much already established that, in some cases, creating your own competitor is out of the question unless you happen to have a few $1 billion just laying around, maybe it's time we just try to move our business entirely overseas. Oh wait, we can't even do that, can we? The IRS is so totalitarian, draconian, and intrusive that many foreign banks won't even deal with American citizens, even if these people are expats living in that country, because they don't want to deal with the IRS and their bullshit. Yeah, things are gonna get really interesting here. Something is gonna break sooner or later. And when it does, make sure you have the popcorn ready. And that's all I gotta say, guys. Thanks for listening.